Hello, everyone. Welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Shiva Kabra, who is the Joint Managing Director at Control Print, which is one of the largest manufacturers of coding and marking equipment in India. Hi, Mr. Shiva. Welcome to ELI.
Hi. Oh,
How are you?
excited to be here. I'm very good and excited to share my journey with all the other people out here.
I would request on behalf of our audience to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Shiva Kabra, and I'm the Joint Managing Director of Control Print Limited. I'm 44 years old, and I've been the Managing Director of Control Print since the last about 5 to 6 years, but I've been working here since 2005.
Mhm. Okay, got it. Tell us a bit about Control Print. Many of our listeners are not very aware of the manufacturing industry and how the printing and things work there. So,
Yeah,
tell us a very beginner's level understanding of what is Control
yeah.
Print.
So Control Print is essentially we manufacture printers which print variable information onto products. So if you see, say, your bottle of shampoo or your can of Coke, you turn it to the bottom, you'll see like a date code and a batch code, or sometimes an expiry date, a batch number, uh, could be a MRP, and so on and so forth. So we would print all this variable information onto your products. So you'll see it definitely on all your packaging items that you consume. So it would be in, food products. It could be best before in a milk pouch. But it's also there in a lot of industrial products. So if you see your cable or your wires, so you'll
Hmm.
see like there's a lot of specifications written onto the cable or the wire, or even your plumbing pipes. Again, those are provided by our printers, also for a lot of industrial items such as paints, for cement bags and so on. So essentially, it's for printing variable information, and it's directly in the production line. So it's a sort of industrial inkjet printer or printers, if you will, in a way.
Okay. And give us a perspective on, how does the packaging industry work and, things like how much does a manufacturer spend on packaging and printing, especially, and, what is the size of this industry and all.
Absolutely. So the coding and marking is a specialty part of the business. It's part of the digital printing industry. Of course, the digital printing industry worldwide is in hundreds of billions of dollars. The biggest section would be the wide format and large format type printers, the ones used for your banners and the billboards and so on. It's used also massively in textiles. And the one that everyone would be familiar with is your small office, home office, which is like the Epson or HP or Canon type printers that you have at home for, either the lasers, the toner ones, or the inkjets
Hmm.
for your photos and documents. And and this is a specific small branch of it, which is for industrial inkjet printing. And on top of that, of course, for the packaging industry, uh, you know, it's something that's been constantly growing in India, the organized packaging industry. So a lot of us, of course, I see a lot of people might be quite young on this chat, but when we were growing up, for example, like you used to get milk in loose form. There used to be a person coming and used to have this big lota and then take this thing and measure the milk out and give it to you. Now
Yeah.
everyone has packaged milk. Now slowly people are having packaged dahi, or rather than making it at home, or paneer and so on. So a lot of the consumption that's there is shifting from loose items like sugar or grains or other things into packaged items. So the organized packaging industry is growing, and of course, it's got a massive role to play, because not only from convenience, but it's also to maintain the freshness of the product, the purity of the product,
Hmm.
and to enable like easy transport of a lot of items, like consistent measurement. So I think as it's got a very critical role to play across the entire space. And of course, I shouldn't be saying this too much, but in most cases, the packaging costs more than what the actual items inside the package cost. This is the
Hmm.
reality of the a lot of the consumer goods industry,
Interesting.
and maybe the foods industry.
Interesting. Uh, would love to know a little bit about the early days of color print, like how it was started. I understand it was started in 1991, which is a time where startups and companies were not really cool in India, and you had to get a lot of licenses to start something. So tell us about it. Probably you were a kid when it started.
Yes, yes, I was like still in school, I think at that time in 91. But I remember the start. Actually, I was more aware later. So it's a very strange story where one of my father had actually lent money to one of his friends,
Mhm,
uh, and he wasn't able to pay it back. And my father himself, he had started Control Print, but he had started in a very small business manner.
mhm,
And since he couldn't pay back the debt, he gave the company to my father
mhm,
as a part payment. And but my father felt there was more scope in this business than his own business. So my father already had a pretty large setup in the plastics trading business, and he also, in fact, founded another company before, which was known as ABS Industries, which was the first engineering polymer manufacturer in India. Now it's still listed on the BSE and the NSE as Stryonix Incorporated. It was
mhm.
purchased by Bayer in 1995, and then Ineos, and still run by his best friend's son.
Okay.
So that was like so he was already aware, and like I said, it almost came by as a fortune. But he felt that there is a scope for this type of industry to pick up in India,
Hmm.
and that was his insight, that he believed there was a market for this type of a product. And like they had the courage to sort of actually take funds away and reduce the size of his existing business and sort of invest in this business, because he felt that the long term potential for this business was better than the business which was providing for the last 30 years or 20 years for this family.
Got it.
So
Uh,
so that was a thing. And of course, like in the beginning, there was a lot of struggles getting the right sets of products, getting other things inside. And like you said, it was something at that point of time which was different. The technology, that this is more of a technology driven business,
mhm.
and that technology didn't exist in India, and maybe didn't exist till we developed it a few years ago, and it was all imported. And I think having and there's a variety of technologies being used out there. I think out there were a lot of challenges, a lot of learnings in those journeys for the company at that point of time. So of course I wasn't there myself till 2005, so it was a different I can't say
Mhm.
right from that spot, but it was sort of eventful. I think much more eventful than the time I've been here. So
Got it. Uh, and then I think a point came when the transition happened, and you started getting into the operations of the business, and now you are a joint managing director. So tell us about the transition process, because a lot of our listeners are also from a family which runs large businesses, and they are going to become the successors of those businesses. So give us a first-hand perspective on that.
yeah, so my introduction in the business was quite different, actually. uh, so I studied in the US for my undergraduation, and I did a double major in mathematics and economics. After that, I was working as an investment banker, and I was in New York. And then I went to INSEAD for my MBA, in France and Singapore. And I was actually going to take up a job in Singapore when my father's partner left,
Yeah.
who was looking at the marketing. So it was a listed company before then, but my his original partner, the uh, who was looking at the entire sales and marketing organization, he left. And my father sort of called me back at that point of time, because he was sort of old and he felt like he needed, like, someone with more energy and more uh, whatever to help run that part of the organization.
Mhm.
And so temporarily I came that time. To be honest, I think it was more because I want to be close to my girlfriend or something, more than
Mm.
like anything else. which I ended up staying, and that sort of thing. Got married, and like, so I think like a lot of things, when you look back, you're like, a lot of it is like a bit of fortune rather than design.
Yeah.
But that's sort of where the thing came from. So my entire experience was quite different, because I was working in a slightly much more professional, larger setup when I was abroad. And of course, with my educational background and my MBA, it was a different situation. And I think, uh, so it was a different introduction for me, and the transition was, to be honest, quite a slow transition, because it took me some time before I really understood the business. We had a major setback and change in the business when our technology, like our partner, actually separated from us,
Mm-hmm.
and we weren't prepared for that, and it took us some time. So, and I think that's when I sort of got stuck in the business, and then of course, uh, I yeah, so it was a very different background for me. It was a learning experience for me also. So I don't think I was capable of taking over at an early stage. But over a period of time, of course, everyone has to prove themselves. There's no like transition from one person to the other. I think that's my own view. If you're not, you have to be good enough. You have to respect the business. So it's a bit like cricket or something. You can have a reputation, but at the end of the day, you still have to play that ball that's coming to you, and you still have to bat out there and do that thing. So you can get a maybe a start or an opportunity, but you have to perform.
Hmm. What were some of the challenges that you faced initially, probably first 5 years? Like it's a large business that you are going to take over, and there are also people who work with a certain set of mindset, and you as a young guy, you go and try to introduce new things. Probably they will not accept initially. He's a new guy to the business. What does he know about how we run business? So something around that, what all challenges that did you face?
So I think, yeah, the absolutely what you said. I think people challenges are the biggest challenge. It's the biggest learning in any business, beyond one point. I think, like I said, in 2007, we faced a sort of existential crisis in control print.
Mm,
And it took us like about 4 to 5 years to get out of that, and sort of get back to where we were in 2007. So I think that was a huge learning experience. I think the dealing with people, dealing with everyone, was very instrumental at that point of time. I think first, which is where we discussed the last question. I said you have to perform. You cannot like command respect. You have to earn it.
yeah.
You have to earn the trust of people. It's not going to be given to you from day one. So I think when you're working with people, of course everyone is earning money, and that's part of the reason why people are working. But that's a small part of it. If you don't work with people, you don't respect what they've got or they've given to the company and to their colleagues, I don't think you're going to be successful. And that's not the right way to look at things and to operate. So for me, it was a lot of it was working with people, really spending time with people at a deep level, and showing and working with them at a level which was directly supporting them. Because I think till people feel that you don't have an awareness of the ground reality, then they're not gonna trust you with your judgment. So
Mhm.
um I think like that's a big part of the business. And I think, in whether it's a large company or a small company, I think, of course, at that time our company wasn't that large, but uh, I think the important thing is you need to work from the ground up. You have to have that uh, practical hands-on experience in the business. So my recommendation would be like, whoever is coming, even if you're uh, you know uh, I mean, even if you have a large opportunity, you do want to work. You don't want to work at the grassroots or like at a certain level. You want to be in touch from a certain, from the ground all the way up, because it's going to help you in your journey in the long term, and it's going to help, you know the people you're going to work with, because they're going to trust you a lot more since you're aware of the reality of working at those levels.
Hmm. So one thing that always comes to my mind is I used to work for a printing business as well. So I used to think, what is the future of print, because everything is getting digitized, and think about currency. It used to be notes earlier. Now all currency is digital. Advertisement is digital. No billboards. Books are digital. Newspaper is slowly fading away, but still, if you see at the overall volume of printing, that is still growing and growing at a fast pace. So what would you say is the future of print? Will it stay, will it grow? How does it look?
So I think there's always going to be a huge space for print, like even on a traditional basis. Of course, there are many items which are always physically consumed, like especially where we are, which is the packaging industry. The package is a physical item, so it always needs to be there. And everyone doesn't want to buy things in like plain brown paper packages. So obviously there will be a printing requirement there and packaging requirement.
Hmm.
But I do believe, like, even if I look at books, I mean, I have like I'm on my third Kindle now, but I barely use it, to be honest. So I would still like do like 95% of my reading. I still have a physical newspaper, maybe because of a certain thing. But and I of course I do consume a lot more content on the phone. But then there is a sort of understanding that at the end of the day, the type of articles I'm getting in print is going to be more serious.
Hmm.
It is something when I'm doing it at a reading, whereas certain stuff that you're doing on your phone, other things is more for browsing. And but especially the books I read, I still read them in print. So I don't like reading like fiction or non-fiction on even on the Kindle beyond a certain point. So I think those things are going to remain for quite some time. And I can't see this changing very fast. There is always going to be like a physical retail along with the e-commerce. That's my belief. So same thing with the printing.
Got you. So, as a company, Color Print, is it planning to stay in only printing business, or what is the future plan? Is there a plan for diversification, or more products in printing area? How does the future look like, or what's
Yeah.
the plan?
So right now, from the coding and marking space, we are working more towards digital printing areas, like where we print larger parts of the package. So instead of just the variable information where people print, maybe the ingredients online, maybe we do a lot of track and trace systems where people print variable information like QR codes or barcodes, but they're variable barcodes, variable QR codes. So each product has a different thing, and then they scan it, uh, and we track it through the entire supply chain. So it integrates with that. And of course, we're also working in the packaging industry, and we have some exciting things out there, especially where we are trying to work and see if we can come out with some new ideas based around sustainability, because we feel that there's a need for the packaging. I mean, of course, there's a sort of negative connotation with packaging because everyone's seen like bags
Mm.
of chips and other types of things thrown around, or on the beach or on the sea, and all sorts of places and the landfills that are there. And
Yeah.
I think there's a need for recyclable packaging or compostable packaging, and those are new areas to look at. What can we do to help reduce the environmental impact of the industry that we are working
Mm.
in
Got
these all areas that Control Print is working on.
got you. Uh, what would you say is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur, or who is an entrepreneur as per you?
So, I mean, of course, from a technical viewpoint, entrepreneur is a person who founds a company. But I think on a broader perspective, entrepreneurship is someone who takes a company or who's working at a company from a nascent stage and sort of helping it grow to the next level. There are also people who could be smaller entrepreneurs, which could be, having a retail store, for example. That's also an important component. So, to me, the type of entrepreneurship that would change, the change society, change, contribute to business and so on, are the people who are sort of going with a real fire to, improve, like not only create a new business, but do something where you're reaching like new goals, or you're reaching further than what you have before. You're sort of stretching the boundaries and delivering excellence in whatever you're looking out for. So I think, to me, that's what an entrepreneur should aspire to. And of course, like, there are many various different aspects of it. So it could be something where a person is only opening a restaurant, but either, even if it's something where he's creating a new concept, it's healthy food, whether it's just a sustained quality of service or
Mhm.
something, that there has to be something that is that USP, that is that what you're looking at, what you're driving. It doesn't have to be about size, but it has to be about, you know, doing something which has a lot of meaning. And I think in entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur is the one who can create and galvanize a team around that. So that's what I feel defines like a, to me, a genuine entrepreneur from someone who just starts a business, but it's not driven with passion, you know, versus one that's, got real passion behind it.
Got you. My final question, tell us, as an entrepreneur, you would have done a lot of mistakes and would have learned a lot of lessons. So which of those lessons you think we can also take away and probably apply to our ventures, so that we don't do those mistakes, or maybe those loopholes, uh, we can avoid. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you're very correct in terms of making mistakes, because I think there's no doubt I've made a lot, when I reflect back also, I think. And I have made a lot of mistakes. I think, the mistakes are part of every entrepreneur's journey. So, I will actually say that, be happy. It's the challenges, it's the mistakes, that we all are going to learn from. So the important thing is, it's a journey. Entrepreneurship, you know, uh, business, the cycle. This is the journey. So let's not. Everyone's going to feel down on themselves. Everyone's going to feel bad. Everyone is going to feel, stupid at times with the types of mistakes that they've made. I think we all have to look at this as a journey, because that's how you can motivate yourself. It's not about reaching a goal, because what happens if I need to hit a certain revenue and I reach it, you know, and then you get like that momentary satisfaction, but you need to start again the next day and reinvent yourself. So I think out here, mistakes are part of the journey. It's about learning,
Mm,
it's about growing as a person. So it's not only about growing as a business. For me, it's like growing as a person, it's growing about as an entrepreneur. And it's about how you work with your colleagues, how you take that team along, and working with the people that you're working with, working for your customers. And uh and I think that's the way we need to think about. That's the way we need to define it. It's
mhm,
mistakes are there, as long as you've got the right intention towards your customers, towards your colleagues. Then
mhm.
this is a normal course of operation, and you have to think of it as a learning opportunity, even if it hurts at that point of time.
Got you. So on this point, we are up with the time, and I would say it was a pleasure to have you on our platform, Mr. Shiva, and our best wishes for Color Print.
Thank you. Thank you so much.